It is a new year, 2024, and that means it is Bitcoin's halving year, which is phenomenal if you're in crypto. And now's the time to start thinking about getting into it, or maybe not. We're going to talk about that. But it is significant nonetheless. We're going to run through Bitcoin. We're going to finish up with Mara. We're actually we have an open position on Marathon Holdings where we are currently up 153%. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing with that position after this. So starting off, we have Bitcoin on the monthly. It's a perfect time to just zoom out beginning of the year, see exactly where we are at. And we have these support and resistances right here where there's some consolidation points. So just make note of that, because you obviously, well, not obviously, nothing is obvious, but ideally what you want to do is you want to buy when you're at the bottom of this right here, and most ideally off of a bounce, right? And you want to sell when you start reaching that point up there at that top of that resistance, right where there was that previous consolidation. So we are near the top. Now, specifically with crypto, but really with anything, obviously nothing is 100%, right? So it's all about statistics and probability and what your indicators are telling you. So what are our indicators telling us? Well, we go long in this setup when the 25 period exponential moving average, which is this yellow moving average right here, is below the blue 7 period simple moving average. We have that right now, so that is bullish. With Trendillo, I switch back and forth between logarithmic and its traditional settings, but I like the logarithmic because I like to see what is most important to me very clearly, and that is whether or not this line is above or below the zero line. It is above the zero line, indicating that we are more bullish than bearish according to the Trendillo. Now we can turn off this logarithmic, and you can see that we are just below that zero line, or just above that zero line, I should say. So there is a just beginning of a bullish sentiment on the monthly, which is really good if you want to go long on crypto. We can pull up the MACD. Now, again, the most important thing is that this blue line is above the zero line, which we do have. And you also want this blue line, which is the MACD, to be above the signal line, which is the yellow line, which we have. So everything, according to our indicators, everything is indicating on the monthly for Bitcoin to go long. That is overall what we should be considering our sentiment, okay? Because we are bullish on the monthly. Now, keep in mind that while we could blast through this consolidation point right here, this isn't the best time to buy. The best time to buy really would have been when the Trendillo, if we turn the logarithmic back on again, went above the zero line, which would have been either this month or this month. So either November or December, okay? But we are in the beginning stages of January. This obviously could go above this consolidation point, or it could turn red by the time the month ends. You know, we have a whole 20 some days to do that, to actually have the candle react for the remainder of the month. So we could come back down and see a retest. And if we do see that, if we see something come back down, like even this month or February, come back down, and then a bounce off, you know, maybe you have a green candle after that, that would be a great entry if you happen to miss it in the previous months. Let's go down to the weekly, because we can actually use the HA market bias indicator now. And if you zoom out, you notice that we actually really have never been able to use the HA market bias indicator as its original intent with Bitcoin, because through all the bull and bear cycles, it only stayed green. Now, it does have the light and dark green colors here, indicating strength and weakness of a current trend, but they're not really necessarily designed to determine bull and bearish sentiment. Okay, so we finally have that now, and we are bullish on the HA market bias indicator. I don't need to go over back all these other indicators. They all show the same thing as the monthly. it is bullish. So we are leaning towards bullish on the monthly. But again, you have a better idea here where you can actually see we're approaching that resistance line. So does the daily tell us anything? Well, the daily tells us all bullish, except let's zoom in on this MACD right here. Now, while we technically are crossing back above, showing that we are potentially changing reversal and going back as far as momentum for the MACD and going back up, which could push this price action higher. And that was basically triggered by having a pretty decent day for Bitcoin. We retested this previous resistance right here. Now, we did reach above it before, somewhat being rejected. So it's, it's hard to call a green candle rejection, but when you have this long wick right here and it's matching this consolidation, it's showing that we were able to push higher, but now the sellers are stepping back in and taking back over control. The the bears are taking back over control. And once again, we are approaching this consolidation point, and we are a lot higher and a lot closer to it than this consolidation point. And this, ideally, if you're going long, would be that consolidation point that you want to actually buy off of. Okay, so overall, bullish sentiment, but it looks like there's some breather that could happen. The only thing I'll say, there's obviously always things that can change that. What is the Fed going to do, and how is that going to affect everything? What is the rest of the market going to do? The halving is coming up. Are people just going to start loading into it? Are big institutions or big investors going to start loading into Bitcoin because of that halving? And now that there's been some data showing that reaching up to the halving and going beyond the halving, really, Bitcoin does pretty well as far as price. So it makes sense. It's deflationary. That's Bitcoin's design, is to do that. So long as there is steady demand, halving will increase the price. So we're going to finish with Mara. Now, if you notice that Bitcoin actually was up today 1.7%, I think it finally finished on. Mara actually closed out at negative 2.38%. And you can see right here that we reached this resistance on this zone and got rejected off of it. And given the fact that Bitcoin is showing us signs of somewhat of a rejection, it's likely that in the next couple of days, or at least just in the long run, at the grand scheme of things, when things play out, both with Bitcoin and with Mara, things are going to be taking a little bit of a breather. Whether we come back down to 1882 and bounce back up, whether we come down and maybe consolidate there for a little bit and go back down to the HA market bias indicator, which at that point would probably be around 13-ish, 1326. That's a possibility. Or potentially coming back down to the 747 level where there is this consolidation right here. So either way, this is your opportunity if you are in it for a swing to start scaling out of Mara. I bought in, I don't know exactly my entry level. It was around right where this market bias indicator turned green. I bought in and I scaled out on, what date was that? The 29th. 29th was the date I scaled out. Now I still have a position open, and as this goes lower, it comes back down and starts to show signs of continuation to the upside. That is when I'm going to start scaling back in. So just shaved a little bit off, just protect my profits, and then moving on. So I'm going to get this video out. I really appreciate all the subscriptions, all the likes. Turn the notification on if you want to see all of my latest content. Until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks.